Hi everybody. I'm going to talk today about the most memorable moment I have of Grace Lee, Bruce's mother. Back in 1979, The Game of Death was being released by Columbia Pictures, and it was the summer of 1979. And prior to the Hollywood premiere and the US release, Norman Breen, myself, and Grace Lee were invited to a private screening at Columbia Pictures. And it was a summer day in the afternoon. I believe it was the month of June. And Norman drove. We picked up Grace at her home in Arcadia. That's where she lived with Robert, her son, and Bruce's brother. And I remember driving onto the lot, and we were all dressed up. I mean, we were being invited to Columbia for a private screening, and we drove onto the lot. We were escorted up to a private screening room, which was reserved for Columbia's top executives. So it was a privilege, and they were going to screen the film for myself, Norman, and Grace. And so we sat all by ourselves. We were sitting in the center of this private projection room. And I remember Norman sat to Grace's left, I sat to her right. We sat down, really excited to see this because it was the first time anybody had seen Bruce come back on screen since he passed away in 1973. So the most memorable moment I have was we sat down, and throughout, as the projectionists rolled the film, it was dark, obviously, and we sat there, and I kept turning over to Grace as we were watching the film, and she was pretty emotionless for the first part of the film, until this moment when Bruce bounded up the stairs, the real Bruce Lee versus the double. When he bounded up the stairs, as soon as he did, and she saw this image right here as him coming up the stairs, she started sobbing quietly, and so much so that her seat was moving. And so I turned and I saw her sobbing, and I just reached out with my left hand and held her hand as she quietly sobbed throughout that scene. And it was the most touching moment, the most profound moment that I remember of her. It was just, there's no words for that. After this scene, she quietly sat through the rest of the movie. But this one scene where he bounded up the stairs, it was the first time she had seen him come alive since his passing in 1973. So this is my one most memorable moment with Grace Lee.